Hey folks, uh, how have you been? How are you? Seriously, how are you? We're all going through it. That's what Julie would say, and she did many times actually. Many, like at least two or three dozen times. The last year of her life. Um, she Julie became very not just cognizant, but very much more in tune, more in depth with people around her. And I hate to say it, but before cancer, she was not very empathetic, very sympathetic person, absolutely. Not very empathetic naturally. Doesn't make her a bad person. She's an amazing person, like amazing. Um, I'm a little bit too empathetic at times to a fault, and that's possible. Trust me. Makes hard decisions much harder, and that's been very hard these last few days in my personal life. Um, so she just became much more self-aware and a much more um, deeper individual, as you'd expect. Those last few months, last year, um, and it was nice to see. She grew a lot personally um, and spiritually. Um, None of us are perfect, and as most of you know, we're believers in Christ. He's our foundation. He's our only hope. If we didn't have God in our lives, I have no idea personally. I can't fathom going through what she went through on a daily basis, let alone what I'm going through now. When Julie got sick, we were both going through it. We're a team. But let's face it, she had the excruciating back pain, excruciating stomach issues, not me. Now, yes, I had a stroke. I've had my own problem, but not the same as what Julie had. Not even comparable. Limiting, disabling at times, sure, yes. But again, not the same at all. So, anyway, first of all, almost 3 minutes into this video, I'd like to welcome you if you're new to my wife's YouTube channel. We started this just shortly after Christmas in 2023. She wanted to document and she wanted to have a lot more videos where she was involved. And she's not a big YouTube person. She's not a fan of YouTube like I am. I like to watch a lot of different creators. Not so much influencers. There's probably a couple that I like a lot. Three maybe. Another widower who is like a brother to me. Um, I can't believe I'm 15 years older than he is, I think, give or take. I feel more like maybe a couple of years older, but that's surreal too. So, anyway, but Julie doesn't like being on camera that much. And so you've seen some videos of her. If not, I encourage you to go through some of the videos we've made. They're not the fanciest, so I apologize about that, folks. I'm learning, trying to be a bit more creative, um, make it a bit more interesting for folks to watch. I really am, and I really do want to get the subscribers up. So please like and share. Have a lovely comment for our three beautiful boys. The older boys, they don't really care too much. They're not invested. They're not really into it. But my youngest son, his name is Graydon. Our boys are Grant, Gabriel, and Graydon. Three G's. And Graydon's much more involved. He cares a lot. Now, this is not to say that the older two boys won't in 2 years from now, or 10, when they get older. God forbid if something happens to me, and it could. I don't foresee it. I feel relatively good today. Had a very decent day. Sunday. It was March 16th. It's still today. It's midnight, so now it's March 17th. But I just do these videos for my boys, and that's what Julie really wanted me to do. so that we have hundreds of videos that they can just watch whenever and hear dad just yap away. Hopefully embarrass them and have fun with them, but not too much. But and share stories. So that's what I'm doing. I'm talking to you, the fellow widower, whether you're 30 or 60, whether your kids are 35 years of age or 5, and they're dealing with the loss of their mom or dad, of course. My heart goes out to you. And it totally did to Julie. We had this discussion and she was just weeping. Again, she's not a big YouTube person, but I showed her a channel and she fell in love. She couldn't get into it too much because at that point she was experiencing a whole new level of pain, so she didn't want to do interviews. She didn't want the camera on her every other day. She just didn't. She'd look at me and roll her eyes, Michael, you do it. You go do 10 or 40 minutes. And I kept telling my wife, people don't want to see me, and I don't want to see me. And then she said, do it for the boys. Go. Like she wanted some space. She wasn't feeling good. Or she was in the bathroom. Or just the cramps were just, and that could have been the chemo. Unbearable. So, and we're a tiny bit older. She wasn't 28 or 38 going through this. So, she might have had a bit more patience, a bit more strength to do a bit more of the face-to-face, some questions, maybe a couple lives. She would have loved to have done that, I know. Down deep, she would have. But she was glad that, if you wait for perfect, you wait to learn how to make a great intro on YouTube and a great outro and the perfect little banner that comes right down. Where's my hand here? Right down here. Some cool little visual, all that stuff. It's nice when I add it. She had no patience for that stuff. She would have liked. What she was really hoping for was that I would go to some sort of like YouTube boot camp in Orlando or Tampa, and you pay $200 or $600, and you go for 3 full days, and you learn some amazing techniques. And I'm still looking for those kind of things. So if anyone knows of anything like that in the country, please let me know where those things, where those kinds of events happen. I know there's some. I've done lots of hundreds of hours since 2010, way back before we ever knew she was sick, on how to do a decent YouTube channel, something viable, something that I could learn to maybe create a product or do something creative from home and generate us an income that would supplement Julie's hard work. Julie worked, folks. Julie, she was an eye technician. So if you ever get your eyes checked, she would take you back to the room. She would have you cover one eye, read the letters on the wall. She'd say, "Is this better or this is better? This better or she'd do those. She'd probably dilate your eyes and a lot of other cool stuff that is way above my head. She had a bachelor's degree in Christian education, but unfortunately, a lot of the Christian schools don't pay worth. I can't say it. So that prevented that dream from happening. But I think she would have been an amazing teacher. I know she would have, which is ironic because she always thought I would make a great elementary school teacher. So who knows? I doubt that's going to happen. I don't know if I've got 4 years of university left in me. The few credits I did earn in Canada will not transfer to American universities. Most schools do transfer, no problem. But there's some other issues. So basically, if I went back to school, I'd have to go full time. And that's a whole other video. It's a whole other discussion. I would like to get into public speaking. I'd like to represent grief, cancer survivors, and that the cancer survivors are two-pronged. The folks that have rung that bell and they're in remission or they're doing well and they're home, still fighting a good fight, but they're for the most part clear. And then there's the survivors who had a family member that passed, but they still won. They still won that horrible, disgusting game of cancer. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. We have to pump our loved ones full of poison. So sad. It sounds so, not just barbaric, but medieval. I think I think if the world is around in 100 years from now, I think they'll look back and say, why did they put this in their bodies? Like, I know they're limited with their knowledge, but I mean, come on. I think that's what the synopsis will kind of be, right? But she's a warrior and she worked. We didn't have savings. We didn't have 401k. After COVID, that was all gone, all of it. Didn't have a life insurance policy. I did actually when I worked at Disney, but that remote job was taken away 3 or 4 months before she got diagnosed. And that brought her to tears. She cried about that so many times because we never buy life insurance policies for each other. It's very morbid, very depressing, something we don't do. We don't think to do it. Quick disclaimer, if you can, buy it. I don't care if it's 10 or 20 bucks a week out of your paycheck and your checks are already so tightly spent already. We get it, but just do it. You wouldn't have to worry about the grief that me and my boys are going through. We live on survivor's benefits. I can't work for a couple medical reasons at this point, but I'm using this time to try to research what I can do in the future. I fully intend on getting better. It's not guaranteed. So I'm still trying to make plans on how to better my life for myself, of course, but also mainly for the boys. They're in 10th grade, 9th grade, and 7th grade. So I got my work cut out for me. Still have many years left with those beautiful boys, and I know they'll be gone sooner than I want to acknowledge. And then it's going to get rough because I'm just 100% a dad. 100% unapologetically. And Julie loved that about me. She really did. She one of her regrets was that she wasn't nearly as vocal about bragging on me and all those kind of things, which I never really needed that, to be honest. It's nice to have it for sure. Would I've liked to have seen more of it? Sure. But I never said, hey, give dad a shout out once in a while. I never did that. And maybe I think that was just the way we were. We just didn't need that. But as time went on, and when she got sick, of course, she did make those admissions to myself quite frequently, actually, which was just, again, the sweetest thing ever. She was thinking of me when she's in such horrible pain. And I tell her to stop it. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. But let's get you caught up on your pain meds, because some days she wouldn't take it as religiously as she should, because she might have had 2 really good days and then have a little bit of pain and then think not much of it when she should have. And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, that pain that was a 4 or a 5 is now a 9 or a 10. And you can't get that back down to a 4 or a 3. It's like almost impossible, or it takes days upon days to do so. So if you're struggling with pain and you're seeking the advice through a medical professional, keep in touch with them, because that's vital to make sure the quality of life, and that's what this is about, was her quality of life. And as her mother would tell you, her last day was just, it could have been worse, but not much. Not much. And that's because we were not given or supplied the proper emergency packet. I don't know what the term was, but the nurse on call at midnight said for us to utilize that quickly until they could get there an hour later or 4 hours later, because we lived in a city, but we were in the rural area, and our hospice nurse was amazing. The lady on shift that night had to cover a very vast area of central eastern Florida, the Melbourne, Brevard County, and then some. And I said, what emergency pack? What are you talking about? And on the phone, she says, the morphine, like, the other things she mentioned. I said, no, we were never given anything like that. Keep in mind, we'd only been on hospice, I think, 3 weeks, maybe 5 at the most, but we still should have had that. Shortly after we'd been, Julie was assigned her hospice team. Again, great people, great team. She had good interactions with them all. The only thing that upset me was that there was a nurse that we liked a lot who got switched out, and we have no idea why. We don't know if there was drama, if she got promoted, if she got fired. We have no idea. It's private. And the lady who was kind of head of that team that took over was a very talented individual. But let me be honest by saying she was not good with people. She wasn't mean. She wasn't rude. But there was not that genuine care at all. Maybe she's a little burnt out. Maybe she had had a little bit of enough. Maybe the workload was getting to her, and that's why, case in point, now she's taking over this case when she's supposed to oversee a bunch of cases. Maybe not deal personally. But Julie didn't mind her at all. I forget her name, but weren't impressed. But anyway, being a supervisor or whatnot, you think she would have been on top of making sure we had that, or at least ask, not assume we had that packet, that emergency, whatever, so that when you fast forward 3-4 weeks and the on-call nurse says, Mr. Flynn, grab the emergency bag. I'm telling you, this is a good time to use that. You know, it's a great resource. It's a great help. It'll definitely put your wife in a different state for this evening, at least, and give her a respite for 12 hours, maybe, or 6 or something. Let her sleep the night. I had no idea what she was talking about. My wife was conscious, but just in so much pain. And I looked at her. The nurse was on speaker, of course, like all our calls are. And my wife looked at me like, and she even spoke up and said, "We don't have that." And she's grabbing her side while she's, grimacing. And I'm trying to hold her hand or rub her thigh. And I'm like, "Ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about." And the nurse, under her breath, said some things that we could hear. And to say she was pissed and livid was a huge understatement. I haven't shared this. Can't go to the ER because she's in hospice now. When you sign up or you take on hospice, they even tell you can't get an ambulance. Maybe some in the world, some of you can. I'm telling you, where we were at, we were told what we cannot do no longer. And so that was around that midnight hour, going into the midnight hour of the 26th of March, which is the kids call it D-Day, Death Day. And Julie referred to it like that as well. So it wasn't a crass, don't understand the term. So yeah, her mom was not happy to see her daughter in that kind of pain. And keep in mind, her mom and dad, amazing people, just loved her so much. And were so supportive of all of our marriage, like all of it, like just over and above. Her dad's a pastor. They were not well-off people, and yet they did the best they could when we needed help. And I think just 3 days earlier, her mom said, "When do we need to come? In a week or two? What do you think?" And I think when they had the discussion on Wednesday or Thursday, Julie was doing really decent, not great, but able to sit up and have a conversation with you. Couldn't go to restaurants because of the smell. She had a very sensitive nose. That last week or two, maybe last 5 weeks actually. She couldn't go to the restaurants. Before she'd go to the restaurants, but pretty much eat nothing, but just want to be with me and the boys. Maybe have a bite or two to get some calories in her body if she could. But just she wanted to be with us so bad. Yeah. So, and we tried to do everything at home to keep her comfortable. But she'd say, "Take the boys, go," And I'm like, "Not without you. We're staying." That was the discussion those last 6 weeks, 7, 8 weeks. I don't know, maybe January through March. I said, "Well, no, we can stay home. We don't need to be going out. Try to save some money and that kind of thing." It's a good, we don't need to be going out. And my attitude was, "I'm not going out without you." And I know, she would do the same for me. Um, Not without you, babe. So, um, it's almost been a year. I might, I might be doing a video every day. I was gonna say today is March 17th, almost 12:30 a.m. almost Central Time. We're not Eastern. Um, I was gonna say I should do a video every day with my thoughts and my feelings and my hopes and concerns. Also, to keep me a little bit preoccupied, to also remind you that we're here to pray for you if you have any prayer requests, whether you're wrestling with your faith, whether you're wrestling with learning about God and who Jesus is and who he was and who he still is today, about Julie's faith, my faith, that even in spite of pain and loss, we win because he win. He defeated death on the cross. Can't talk about that too much right now because this guy doesn't like to ugly cry, and I only know one way of crying, and it's really ugly. Julie and I laughed about that because those last few months she liked my ugly cries, and I'd say, "Why do you like this?" She goes, "Because now I get to see the real you. That's what marriage is about, babe. You get to see yucky stuff, not just the." She flirted, which she didn't do a lot of, which I loved, but she flirted and she'd throw her hair back, which she didn't have any, and she gave me a little eye, whatever you call it. She's like, "It's not just about the sexy stuff." She cracked me up. She's like, "It's about sitting here and talking and being open and honest with her about my feelings." And I said, "But the thing is you're going through a lot, so I'm trying to be the funny dork, the cheesy, silly guy." And she's like, "I know, and you're doing good, and you do that for the boys, and that's great." It is, but I need to see the guy I married, and you have a tender, sweet side about you, which is the one reason why she didn't say this, but I'm saying this is the one reason why she married me. But so she gave me permission to ugly cry. But when I reminisce and I think about Julie, sometimes a feeling will overcome me, and my voice will change, or I'll cough. I'll get really quiet on you for 20 seconds, which is really bad for video, I'm assuming. When friends hear me get quiet, um, I think it makes them uneasy. Mike? Mike, you there? Yep. What's wrong? Just thinking. And it freaks them out because, again, back to that laughter, right? Because this guy just doesn't know when to stop. And I've known that since middle school. Before that, I had no clue. It's just too much. Moving forward, it can be a beautiful thing, and part of me has at times, and it's been lovely, absolutely lovely. But then something happens and something doesn't work out, maybe, perhaps, and it sends you back. So when things don't work out and your hopes are up and you're excited and you met a new friend, everyone involved can get very hurt or disappointed, rightfully so. But when you're dealing also with the foundation of a grief with your ex-wife, that just compounds things. Doesn't mean I wasn't over her, doesn't mean I wasn't ready to move on, doesn't mean any of those things. It just makes that current painful loss a reminder. Great. Now I get to mourn two people. And I'm sounding cryptic for a reason. Met a special friend a few months back, off and on again. Was shocked to find someone so soon in my grief process. And I can't stress this more. If you find love again and it's only been 3 months, then good for you. Don't let anyone judge you because it was too soon. Who is anyone to say that to you? Who's anybody? Anybody to say that to you? It might take 3 or 6 years before you can even fathom holding someone else's hand romantically. I get you. I really do. That's what this channel is a bit about. We all deal in different time frames, and that is okay. And people, public, needs to understand that, learn that, and grow up a bit and have a lot more compassion. Anyways, this dear friend, it looks like it didn't work out. And it could have been a lot of misunderstandings once again. And it just hurts. So it also hurts me to sit down and have private time where I talk to my wife, which sounds silly. And she asks, well, how's it going with your new friend? And you tell your lovely wife, hey, I screwed up. Now, I understand when a guy screws up but says the wrong thing, you own it, learn from it. This time around, not so much. I'm not avoiding owning it. I just this time around I'm actually baffled, like literally just beside myself, because it wasn't what I said, it was what they said that destroyed my heart and made me want to run for the hills. And my reaction wasn't the most mature, wasn't horrible, wasn't evil, wasn't mean or cruel. Definitely wasn't intended to be. A little constructive, that's for sure, you know. And some people can't handle that. Some people just can't handle that. They see daggers and arrows when you're given back a constructive criticism, and you're not sticking up for yourself. It's not about that, but you make a few points and they just think you're horrible. They just don't hear the English you're speaking, and that makes it. I'm speaking English. She's speaking English. But when it's that hard, that soon in the relationship, when it should be just lovey-dovey, and there was a bit of that, and that freaked me out because I thought, being for me in my time frame, just under a year of Julie's passing, this is too good to be true. Because there was a lot of it. There was a lot of good, great time. So, and we prayed together. One of my favorite times, to be honest with you. I think she appreciated that too. I really do. I really do. So, anyway, it's a friendship that didn't work out, and I can't be friends with someone who I care for as more than a friend. It just doesn't work. Feels yucky. Feels weird. I'm too jealous. I can't be your friend. Well, you might move on and meet someone down the road that would destroy me. No. not that cool. I'm not that mature. Some people are, but that was a recent thing, just days ago actually. It's been very hard. So I have that discussion with my wife. So when you're going through things, it's okay to talk to your spouse, whether they can hear us and see us or not. And me and Julie didn't subscribe to that belief. We just didn't buy into the Hollywood thing, like, oh, that butterfly was for you because she loved butterflies or ladybugs, or she and I laughed. We're just not into that. We don't believe it. We don't believe it's scriptural. We don't believe it's. Now, at the same time, we're both obviously helpless romantics enough to admit that we could be wrong. Those things could be very sweet and endearing, and because we are helpless romantics so much so, you think we'd be into all those signs. But anything that comes down to signs for us sounds very new agey and manifestation, and we're not into that at all. But regardless, if she's part of that great cloud of witnesses, which is I think the only verse that I know of in the Bible that talks about whether our loved ones can see us. And I know I'll hear about this in the comments below. I know folks are going to be like, oh, she's with you. She's right there. Or she got her wings, which of course to us is blasphemy, because humans are not angels, nor do they become angels. In fact, we believe firmly that the Bible speaks that angels serve humans. Angels are not above humans at all. They're not equals. So to suggest my wife is getting wings in our family, in our belief, that's an insult. And I know no one would say that with the intent of insulting us. Not at all. I think your sentiment is very sweet, actually. But we're just very pragmatic when it comes to the supernatural. And we do believe there is a supernatural, and it's beautiful and powerful and mind-blowing. But I still, for coping reasons, will talk to her. And I do get a different perspective, only because I know her so well, and what she might say. Might very well say, whether I like it or not. I don't just sugarcoat it because it's my voice telling me what I want to hear. I've never been that guy, ever. Most people are like that. No. So, I've had some really good talks with Julie and several dreams. I know the first 3 months or 2 months I didn't dream of her at all, and it drove me nuts. And then she's in a dream, and we're just talking. And the whole time I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, what? And she'd make light of it. Well, I'm here just for a minute or two. Let's have a seat on this log over here and just talk. That kind of subtle, weird, chill. So I long for those dreams when I have a little moment with my wife. But the boys got to go to church with Grammy. Got to see relatives today. I had some alone time, which I really needed. You know, I could be crying for an hour, which is so embarrassing to admit because, and here I am advocating for mental health, but I'm not used to that. I'm not used to being some big new advocate, even though that's what I see myself becoming. And you don't know it till you're in it, and it's beautiful. So I let myself do the whatever I had to do, grief this loss of this friend. And I don't mean loss like another death or anything like that, of course not, no. But I know she took things the wrong way, and I might have as well. And we just, after only knowing someone for a few months, we just can't keep going back and forth 10 or 12 great days, and then one, maybe two really bad days of miscommunication, and things are said. It's too much. And but it's really hurtful, and it's really, really sad. But we'll always have Iowa. We'll always have Iowa. All right. This is getting long already. Shocking. I've been babbling for 35 minutes. Let me know if you have a prayer. I want to pray for you. I love your comments this last week. I've had, 27, 30 comments in one post from last week's post? And the viewership is way up for that video, so thank you for that, all of you. You have no idea what that means to me personally at all. You have no idea what it would mean to Julie if she saw those numbers. And then my boys, Graydon's like, Dad, you're crushing it. Like nobody. Mom's crushing it. Not me. This is all Mom, God, and of course you, the subscribers. Without you, we can't grow this channel. We're almost at 1,100. Can't wait to grow it. Can't wait to get that 1,100. Can't wait to get to 1,500. That's a beautiful round number. Then 2,500. Then 5,000. Let's grow the community. Let's see who we can touch their heart and their soul and their mind. Share the love of God. Promote that, because Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the one true God who loves people from every tribe, every single tribe, and I mean that, around the world. He died for all, but you do need to confess who he is. He's not just the Son of God. Let's not take that term that's widely used in our faith and make him the Thor figure to God the Father, Odin. That's my analogy. No. He's not the son to the God. They're one and the same. And he's beautiful. And he's my only hope. And I love him dearly. And I hope you all do too. And if you don't, wake up. Wake up and look up. Because he could come back in the clouds to meet us tonight, next week, or in 39 years. I don't know the day or the hour. But you will know the season. And the season means generation. And generation is what, 40 to 60 years time frame? So think about that. I am just a messenger. I am no one special. Never have been. Never will be. But my boys call me Dad. So that's awesome. Love that. Love it. That's what's getting me through this weekend. So, we're going to work on some shorter videos. How about that? Yay. Hannah? Go to a shorter format starting this week. 15 minutes or less. And I got to just hit the stop button. I do love you. I don't have to know you to love you. I love my fellow man and lady. And I'm going to uplift people, for any one of you that watch this, whatever you're dealing with. Loss of a job, loss of a pet who meant the world to you. Maybe you're a foster parent and the parent got healthy. It was time for that little one to go home. I would be a mess. My heart is with you and for you. And let's lift each other up. Because this world kind of stinks at times, right? Let's lift each other up. All right. Good night. I do care. I know Julie would say, I love you. Be nice to each other. Leave a nice comment below for my boy. That's what she'd say. All right. I will talk to you guys soon enough. And have a beautiful, blessed week. And enjoy the air. Take a deep breath. Enjoy it. Love you. Bye.